Da-da-da-da-da-da. Magic!
Games are the things.
Because then you play Essence Flux, which is our next card that we're talking about.
You bounce it, and if it was
Which is blue as well, everyone.
Vulgar.
Yeah, so we're into blue now.
I think, I don't
I think
think
it's a girl.
Yeah. Well, Voldemort.
Gender problems.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at because it has no nose, but
Yeah.
It doesn't have the rest of her face, though. Like, her eyes are blurred out.
yeah, it's pretty creepy. Good old spirits and stuff. So
It's a
Essence
hand.
Flux is our first blue card. It's an instant, 1 blue, and you get to exile target creature you control and then return it onto the battlefield under its owner's control. There's no time gap there. And if it's a spirit, you put a 1/1/1 counter on it. Good.
Now, one thing to note is if you have already done this to a creature and it has a +1/+1 counter on it, don't do it again.
Yeah, you lose the counter.
You lose the counter and then get it back. It's pointless. Unless you're trying to save it. That's a fair reason. But
Unless you play both of those instances together and then you get...
No.
no, because
Because they were resolved separately.
for those that don't know, the creature won't be there anymore. So when the second one goes to resolve, it'll fizzle and you'll waste it 1 mana.
And a card.
Anyway, the next card is Erd Wall Illuminator, which is a 1/3 flying spirit for 2 mana, which is excellent. Good stats. The type of thing you want to play. But when you investigate for the first time each turn, investigate an additional time. Investigate means put a clue out. So this gives you double clues for the first time you clue. Which is, if there is something that becomes a clue deck, where you're using, I think it would be blue-green, where you're getting a bunch of clues to do crazy, stupid things, this is the type of card that you want. Plus, it makes your clues better. Being able to get 2 clues instead of 1, because you're usually only going to be able to make 1 clue a turn, makes this great. This is a great card. Essentially, it just comes with card draw attached to it.
It's very true. And something to note, blue seems like a very defensive colour. Like you notice, with black there's a lot of 3/2s, with white there's some 2/3s, blah blah blah. These have a lot of 1/3s. I think there's a 1/5 in there as well. Yeah,
there's a 1/5 flyer.
Blue seems to be the colour that you want to be kind of playing that late game. It's not really great for aggro.
Yeah. It's particularly defensive in this set. Like a 1/5 flyer is like the most defensive card I can think of, aside from it being a 0/5 flyer, which would make me cry. Anyway, that aside, the next card on our list is Drew Now Corpse Trawler, which is 4 mana for a 1/1. When it comes into play, it gives you a 2/2. It's a zombie, and it gives you a 2/2 zombie. And you can pay, I think it's something in a black, to give them any zombie that
2
you
and a
control.
black.
2 generic and a black.
2 generic and a black to give any zombie you control Death Touch until end of turn. Death Touch being the type of thing that makes games terrible. This is a great card. 4 mana for 3 power across 2 bodies is good. Plus the ability to give either of the 2 creatures you've just played Death Touch to make combat a nightmare is good. This will change the way that your opponent plays. And it'll change it in your favour. That's the type of thing that you want. This is a card that's good.
Yeah. You'll see a lot of people will block you very differently, knowing that your 1/1 can now kill their 5/5. They're probably going to let them through a lot more often. This one, if you're attacking with this one, it's the one that's going to be blocked.
This is the one they're going to kill because it's the one with the ability.
This is probably the one you don't want attacking. You want everything else attacking.
No, you attack with this one, and then when they block, you Essence Flux it, and then you make another zombie.
That's
actually really good.
That would be a sweet game. But both of those cards are uncommon, so it's not going to come up that often. But that would be awesome. Well, this is the thing you need to consider. If you're thinking, hey, this would be a sweet combo, and if those of them are uncommons, the times that you're going to pull that off, well, if you draft a heap, you're going to pull that off a couple times.
I plan to do that with this set.
It looks pretty sweet.
I plan to draft a lot.
But yeah, this card, again, that's the zombie tribal card. That's non-rare. There's a rare tribal card for each of the tribes, but this is the non-rare one. If you're drafting heavy zombies, this card is excellent because you can give any of the creatures that you're playing Death Touch. The next card on our list is Reckless Scholar, which is a 2/1 for 3 mana, 2 and a blue. Human Wizard. Humans being an actual tribe, whereas Wizard is not in the set.
Sad times.
You can target player, draws a card, and then discards a card. If for some crazy reason you were trying to mill your opponent out because you drafted a mythic that lets you mill 13, this would be an okay ability to target play a bit. But most of the time it's you draw a card and then you play him out discard. That's what you're wanting to do with this, or enable Delirium, or just filtering your deck. In almost all cases, this card's good. This card enables heaps of strategies. It's
Even
a solid card.
even if you don't have any of those strategies, tap the creature, draw a card, discard a card is still good in any set.
That is like especially limited when you only have a couple bombs. So getting rid of that extra land or that crappy creature that's no longer any good to get to try to find that bomb. If getting through your deck quicker to find the good cards is a very powerful thing.
Yeah, it's a good card. Plus, with all the graveyard shenanigans going on, it's good. Next card on our list is Stitchwing Scarab, which is a zombie horror, 3 and a blue for a flying 3/1. Which is okay stats, pretty aggressive.
Not great.
Not great. But the ability is where it gets mad. It's 1 and a blue to discard 2 cards, and you can return it from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. It's not at sorcery speed either, but because it's tapped, you can't block, so you can do it at the end of turn. Now, discarding 2 cards seems like a huge drawback, unless, of course, one of those 2 cards has madness, or both of those cards have madness, and you absolutely destroy your opponent as a result. And even in that case, with Delirium in the set, Delirium is something you want to enable. Late game, this card just comes back after you dump 2 lands in, put this guy back out at the end of their turn.
I feel like this card, to me, it isn't that great, but I felt like it's something that we should talk about. 3/1 with flying is... that part's good. If it was 3 mana, it would be mad sweet. Even for 4 mana, it's alright, because it's in most cases, it's going to trade up.
Yeah.
We talked about it before. How many creatures... Oh, sorry, we only talked about power. Yeah. How many creatures only have toughness?
3. Yeah, we can bring that up later, but I reckon it's probably 25%. No, 20% of cards, because there's a heap of blue cards that have bigger toughness.
There's only 34 cards that have 4 toughness or greater in the set out of 140. Yeah. So there is 106 cards that this will trade with. And that's all right.
That's pretty sweet. 106 cards you can trade this with, plus the ability to get it back later when you've suddenly top-decked a bunch of lands, because that happens.
Also, John didn't specify that it doesn't say anytime you can cast a sorcery, so you can do this in your opponent's end step.
Yeah,
it does enter tapped. Yeah, but you didn't really go over it.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
It definitely does matter. There's a big difference. If you have to activate this in your turn, it is very bad.
Yeah, if you activate it at the end step, it's sweet. I did say we could do it at the end step. What I was saying didn't matter was the fact that you think I didn't say that, but I did.
Right. Yeah, no, I know you said it. You didn't highlight it, though. All right.
Yeah,
we can argue about this all day. I don't care.
Fight. Kiss.
Okay!
We're here for set reviews, Margaret. Now, what's the next card?
Daring
Sleuth.
This one's sweet. It's a 1 and a blue for a 2/1. When you sack a clue, you flip it into a 3/2 that has prowess. I think there's only 2 cards in the set that have prowess. And when you deals combat damage to a player, you get to investigate. So it's almost like drawing a card, but a little bit later. It's good. 2 mana for a 2/1 that can become a 3/2 is the type of thing you want. And it has prowess as well when it's flipped, which is good.
I feel like this is something you're more likely to play. Again, blue is not an aggressive colour, which I think works against it in this case. So this is going to be something that you're going to play if you can definitely transform it, I feel.
Yeah, there's a bit of a theme toward the blue-red instant sorcery matter type deal. There's a couple of cards that want to know when you've got instants and sorceries in your graveyard, want you to draw a lot of cards, and you get bonuses as a result. This is one of the cards that would fit in that deck.
Yeah.
Specifically. It's good on its own, because it's a 2 mana 2/1 isn't bad. It's a decent card. With the ability to be better. And in that sort of deck, the prowess on the other side and the fact that it lets you draw more cards if it gets to deal damage is sweet. It's a good card. I like it.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah.
Next card on the list is Rites for the Tides, which is, like I was saying, the blue-red instant sorceries matter deck. It's 5 and a blue, so 6 mana for a sorcery, and you put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield tapped for each instant and sorcery card you have in your graveyard. So this works really well if you played a bunch of removal or cheap cantrips. Essentially, this works as an excellent finisher if you have a bunch of instants or sorceries in your deck. And if you're trying to, say, turbo Delirium or something, putting a bunch of cards in your graveyard, this will get you at least 3 or 4 dudes. If this getting you at 3 dudes, you're kind of breaking even. At 4 dudes, you're doing better. At 5 dudes, you're insane.
I feel like this would go again in that deck that the blue-red.
Blue-red. Play like a bunch of things like Lightning Axe, Fiery Temper, basically anything that's an instant or sorcery. And then this, and voila.
Even the defensive, like that defensive blue deck. Obviously, I'm not talking mono blue here. We want to be playing with other colours. But usually a defensive deck is alright with playing less than 15 creatures. So you might be playing 12 creatures, which means you're then playing like 11 instants and sorceries, or maybe an enchantment in there as well. So that deck again could be really good with this card. It really could, couple counters, couple removal, and then you bang, and all of a sudden you're way ahead. That's really good.
This card lets you go from behind to ahead by a huge amount if you happen to be playing like a control deck as well. Like I can see this being used specifically as a finisher.
One thing to note, it doesn't save your life the turn that you cast it.
Yeah,
those zombies enter the battlefield tapped.
That does disappoint me. I assume that it's that way because it was too good if they came into play untapped.
It seems to be something they always do with zombies, like bringing them in tapped, which...
Well, they're slow when they get up,
Yeah, I understand.
They're rising out of the ground, they're like, ugh, I could go back to sleep right now.
For those that want to play zombies, we get punished for flavour.
Punished for flavour. The next card on our list is Aberrant Researcher, which is Delver. Delver of Secrets is back. He's got his act together. He's less insectoid, but he does start as a 4 mana, flying 3/2. So exactly his last state that we saw him in.
Except it costs 4 mana.
Except it costs 4 mana, which is disappointing. 1 to 4 is a big jump. And it says at the beginning of your upkeep, you put the top card of your library into your graveyard. So instead of revealing it, you now have to put it in your graveyard. And if it's an instant or sorcery card, you transform him. Then he becomes a 5/4 flyer, so he becomes his perfected form. He's been trying real hard since we last saw him. He's trying to get big. I'm not quite sure why he wants to become an insect monster, but he really wants to become an insect monster.
No, he can be whatever he wants to
He's
be.
perfect now.
This is his perfected form. He's never going to get a lady again, but maybe he just...
He might find a nice big bug lady that he could get with.
It is Innistrad. Anything can happen.
All power to him. But this card is good. 3 mana 3/2 flyer, 4 mana 3/2 flyer is
it's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. It's something that you would play. It's not something you're super excited about, but it's good. It's got evasion. It's got a reasonable amount of power, so that's good. The fact that it also mills you a turn, mills you each time you play it, means that you will be able to enable Delirium if that's something you're looking for.
Yes, it is an upside rather than a downside.
Yeah.
So,
and then if you happen to get that instant or sorcery you put in your deck, you get a 5/4 flyer, which is excellent for 4 mana. So
insane.
Yeah.
Again, this is something you want to be playing in that deck that has lots of instants and sorceries.
Yeah, you realistically, you will probably want to be playing this whether or not you have lots of instant or sorceries because it's a decent card. But it's also really good if you have a lot because you can probably get a trigger the turn you play it if you have the right deck construction. The turn after you play it. Next card on our list is our Sleep Paralysis, which is claustrophobia, but a little bit easy to cast, but as a result it costs a little bit more mana. That's exactly what it is. It's 4 mana, so 3 and a blue instead of 2 and 1 and 2 blue. You enchant a creature, you tap the creature, and then it doesn't untap. So it's the standard stock blue removal. Taps down a creature, the creature doesn't untap. It's playable.
I feel bad though, because we've just come from having pretty much a very similar thing. I know you didn't tap the creature, but being able to play it for 1.
For 1 mana.
And now we're back to 4. Yeah.
Containment.
Where you
Containment
got
Membrane.
Surge for 1.
Containment Membrane, that's the one, yeah.
I searched so many of those cards out.
Yeah, God, so
my
good
gosh.
searching that card out.
It was like, I'm playing 5 of these in this deck, and I just search.
I'll play this random card that I don't really care about, then I'm going to surge out 3 of these and watch you cry.
Yeah, this is a bad version of that.
Yeah. That card was good, but the problem with Containment Membrane was it didn't tap the dude down. So this one taps it down, keeps it tapped. It's something you're going to play. If you're playing blue, this is a card you want to look to pick up because it's
pick it early. There's not much removal in blue.
Yeah, there's really not much to do in blue. Next on our list of cards is Catalog. It's an instant, draw 2 cards and then discard a card for 3 mana. So divination, but not as good.
She's got a big hand.
It's instant though.
It is instant. The reason this is particularly good in this set is there is Madness and Delirium. Madness in particular is excellent with this card because you draw 2 cards, then you play your Madness card at the end of your turn, and you watch your opponent go, well, I felt like I was winning, but you just drew 2 cards and played a card in my end step.
I feel like this card it's kind of the common version, that one that you're more likely to come across, but they needed it because this was uncommon, which is the next card we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Quickly, that card catalog has a picture of Tamiyo in it, which makes me excited.
Yeah.
It makes me
Quick
worried
note.
that they're gonna do the Ugin of last set where they're not gonna put Tamiyo in that second set. It's just gonna be an art. That would make me a little sad.
Yeah, Tamiyo's in 3 different arts, I'm fairly sure.
Yeah.
She's in the Catalog, she's also in Absence Judgment, and she's also in Anguished Unmaking. In Anguished Unmaking, I'm not sure if you can actually see her on the
she's
card.
in the card, but she's on the playmat.
Yeah, she's on the playmat of the card. The full art for that card has Tamiyo and Jace on the side, whereas in the actual card version, you can't see them. So we know that it's there. Either way, our next draw spell is Pour Over the Pages, which is like Catalog on steroids. So 3 and 2 blue for a sorcery, and you draw 3 cards. Then you get to untap up to 2 lands, and then discard a card. Good card. It's not something you want more than one of, but if you happen to be able to discard a Madness card, this card is all upside.
Very true.
I reckon you do want more than one of.
I also agree.
No, I reckon I would only play 1.
I would play 2. I feel Catalog is like...
Catalog I'd probably play 2.
It replaces itself and then gets you to play a Madness card.
Yeah,
so you're really not up on cards. With this one, you're still up on cards. You're still +1. You've got to play a Madness, and it still only costs you 3. Yeah. So I feel like this is a much better option. Maybe a balance, maybe 1 Catalog, 2 Pour Over the Pages would be a good one.
Yeah, really depends on how your deck's constructed. I really think like a 5-mana draw spell is something you don't want to be playing often, and it's something you don't want to draw 2 of.
Well, the thing is, if you don't have any Madness cards in your hand, you play this and you discard the other one that you have stuck in your hand.
Yeah.
And then you just effectively drew 3 cards for 3 mana.
Yeah.
And that is fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Last card, is it the last card? Have we got? Yeah, the last card on the list is Stitched Mengele, which is 2 and blue for a 2/3 that enters the battlefield tapped. It is a zombie horror, going back to that zombie theme where zombies come into the battlefield tapped. But it does tap down a target creature that an opponent controls, and that creature does not untap during its next controller's untap step, and that's an enter the battlefield trigger. So if you flicker it, it does it again. It's good. It's great blue tempo spell. The only thing is it enters the battlefield tap, so you can't play it, tap down a dude, and then block, which would be very good.
But at least you're not behind. You still get to tap one of their creatures, so it's not like, I played this, didn't affect the board state. Yeah,
it's the type of thing you do want against an aggro deck even, though it doesn't block. It's the first turn it comes out, because it does tap down and then keep it tapped down. So you're getting 2 turns off that card attacking you.
This madness